The moment most newcomers encounter step 2, they find themselves staring at a crossroads, often fraught with tension and doubt. "Look what you've done to us!" they exclaim. "You've convinced us we're alcoholics, that our lives are unmanageable. You've stripped us of any sense of control, only to tell us that only a higher power can save us." But what about those of us who don't believe in God, or those who can't, or those who believe God exists but doubt He'd ever intervene for us? You've got us cornered. So what now? Let's start with the defiant one, the one who won't believe. He's angry, his pride wounded, his worldview under siege. To admit that alcohol has defeated him is hard enough, but now he's being asked to surrender to something even more abstract, a higher power. He clings to his belief in human progress, in the triumph of intellect over chaos. Must he abandon all that to save himself? The idea feels like betrayal. At this point, his AA sponsor often chuckles, which only fuels the newcomer's frustration. But this laughter isn't mockery. It's the sound of someone who's been there. "Relax," the sponsor says. "The hoop you need to jump through isn't as narrow as you think. I've seen atheists, even a former vice president of the American Atheist Society, find their way through. You can too." "But how?" the newcomer protests. "How do I relax when everything I've ever believed is being challenged?" The sponsor responds with 3 simple truths. First, AA doesn't demand belief. It only suggests. Second, you don't have to swallow step 2 all at once. Third, all you need is an open mind. Stop debating, the sponsor advises. You don't need to solve the mysteries of the universe. Just be willing to consider that there might be a way out. The sponsor shares his own story. "I was a man of science. I worshipped logic and reason. When I first encountered AA, I thought it was nonsense, but I couldn't ignore the results. People were getting better. I realized I was the one with the closed mind. When I stopped fighting, step 2 began to seep into my life. I can't pinpoint the moment I came to believe in a power greater than myself, but I do now. And it started with letting go of my resistance. For those who've lost faith, the journey can be even harder. They've tried belief and found it wanting. They've tried disbelief and found it empty. Now they're stranded, unsure where to turn. AA offers them a lifeline. We've been where you are. We drifted from our childhood faith too. We thought ambition, honesty, and hard work were enough. But when alcohol brought us to our knees, we rediscovered faith in AA. You can too. Then there's the intellectually self-sufficient, the ones who've always prided themselves on their smarts. "We were like you," AA members tell them. "We thought intellect could conquer anything, but alcohol humbled us." In AA, we learned that humility and intellect can coexist, as long as humility comes first. When we embraced that, we found a faith that works. Others come to AA disillusioned with religion, their hearts full of bitterness. "We were disgusted with the hypocrisy we saw in religious people," they admit. "But in AA, we realized our disdain was just another form of self-righteousness. We had to let go of our contempt and open ourselves to something deeper." For the defiant, those who've raged at God for not answering their demands, AA offers a new perspective. We've been there too. We blamed God for every disappointment. But in AA, we learned that faith isn't about telling God what to do. It's about trusting His will. When we stopped defying and started relying, we found a faith that worked. And what of the devout drinker, the one who prays fervently but still can't stay sober? AA recognizes his struggle. "We've been there too," they say. "We thought we had faith, but it was shallow. We hadn't truly cleaned house, hadn't made amends, hadn't prayed for anything but our own desires." Real faith requires humility and action. It's not about asking for miracles, it's about preparing yourself to receive them. Step 2 is where all paths converge. Whether you're an atheist, an agnostic, or a disillusioned believer, this step invites you to lay down your defenses and open your mind. It's not about dogma or doctrine, it's about finding a power greater than yourself, however you understand it. And in the rooms of AA, countless lives stand as proof that it's possible.